Today's daf, the second day, Rosh Hashanah is daf Lamed Hey Amud Aleph. We're actually up to the two dots towards the bottom of the page. And we're up to V'chol mitzvahs loisaseh. All timeless mitzvahs, women are chayiv except a few exceptions. Says the Gemara, Minohani Mili, how do you know? How do you know that the chayiv on timeless mitzvahs? We already had Rab Acha Bar Yaakov who told us how. He told us how. It says in Pasik, Isha Yisha. It talked about somebody who swears, false about and then later admits that he swore false about not owing money or is pekadon, so he has to bring a carbon. So it says that Isha Yisha, a man or a woman, Kiyasa Mikol Chatas, who committed a sin from any kind of a chatas, any kind of a sin. The Hishva HaKosev, Isha Lisha Chalonji B'Teira. When it comes to punishments, they are exactly the same. Big machlek is Rishonim. So does that mean that they're chayiv in all lavin in the Torah, or only those that have a malchus? Only those that have actual lashes. But other avedas in the Torah, maybe they're exempt. As Rashi clearly says, L'chol Oinshin, Rashi says, I'll just quote you Rashi, the lavin Oinshin malchusing. And a lav, you get malchus. So they want to learn that Rashi holds that not all negative mitzvahs women are chayiv, but only negative ones that have malchus. Others disagree and say any avera in the Torah women are chayiv. A lav in the Torah which is proactive is a big machlekes as well. Says the Gemara, faces. Okay, I'll tell you. Apart from lavin, when it comes to other things, it says asher tosim lifneihem, that you eila mishpatim asher tosim lifneihem. The following rules talks about commerce and damages and all that. Men and women are equal. When it comes to commercial law, also exactly the same thing. And the third category, he says, it says the haim is ishi. If a person kills a man or a woman, you're liable. When it comes to putting someone to death, being a victim or a perpetrator, it makes no difference a man or a woman. And why do you need all three? We actually need all three. Why? If we only knew the case about lavin, which is punishments, which actually mishum kaparem, these punishments are actually an atonement. So therefore, why shouldn't she have the opportunity to atone for a sin? When it comes to dinim, which is commercial law, I would say ish, a person who generally is involved in business. Okay, all those laws apply to that person, but a woman who does not really involve in business, maybe not. So that's why we have to have that pasuk as well. If we knew about the commercial rules, and look, she has to live in a society, and she doesn't want to become a victim that people can take advantage or exploit her, or vice versa, that she can become a criminal. I will koifer. But when it comes to, let's say, koifer, when it says when you kill a person, you have to pay koifer. When I'm talking about if an animal kills a person, what do you do? So you have to pay some kind of compensation. So I would have thought when it comes to koifer, the bar mitzvahs in ishaloi. I would have thought maybe a man that has a few more mitzvahs than a woman, maybe you have to give a compensation. Women not at all, or maybe women less. That's why you need all three psukim. If you only knew this case, I would say, look, a loss of life, no matter who it is. But the other two, no. Therefore, you need them all. Then the Mishnah told us there are a few exceptions. The Mishnah are a few exceptions. And what are the exceptions? So more like this. Chutz v'bal takiv, a few exceptions of timeless. A mitzvah averis, not timeless. Averis that, for example, bal takiv, so loy sasa, and you're not takiv, you're not allowed to cut off your face, you're not allowed to, shave all around your head, make it, round. And bal tashchis, you're not allowed to destroy your beard, which we learned about in Gemara Nazir. Those are exceptions that even though they're an avera, they're allowed, women are exempt. Now, the whole Gemara now we're going to learn is going to be based on different psukim, so sometimes a little bit confusing. Says the Gemara, and the third din in the Mishnah is that if she is a kohen, she doesn't have any sin of going to a funeral, versus a male kohen cannot go to a funeral. Says the Gemara. Bishleim about the Tamla Meisim. I know that she's exempt from this Isser of going to the funeral. The Chsiv says, Emer l'Kohanim b'nei Aaron. It's clear in the pasuk. Tell the Kohanim b'nei Aaron. When you say b'nei Aaron, b'nei Aaron, only the males. El bal sakif ubal tachlis minol. How do you know that they are exempt from the avera of removing the payas or removing the beard? If let's say there's an anomaly and they have and the woman has a beard, I know there's an Isser of using a razor. Minol, how do you know? Says the Gemara. It says the pasuk like sakifu paas roishchem. It says you shouldn't remove a cut off and smooth out paas the corners of your head. And then it says v'loy sashchis in the same pasuk. It says you should not destroy es paas the corners of zkanecha your beard. So we're equating the hakafa, removing your payas or removing the hair around you and two temples and all that, to removing destroying your beard. So we learn as follows: anybody has the prohibition of shaving of the razor, yeshna hakafa has the issur of removing the payas. These women they don't have the issur of shaving, so therefore less than hakafa. And Gemara says, how do you know? Who told you they don't have the Isser? In a case where a woman has a beard, as rare as it is, maybe she has an Isser. So Gemara says, I can tell you it's a logical thing. The haloi isla zaken, the women don't have beards, and a few exceptions, we're not going to make an issue out of it. Or the very pasuk. How do you know? The Amar Kra says the pasuk. Loi sakifu, this very pasuk you brought before. Loi sakifu paas roishchem. Right? You shouldn't remove your payas. It says in plural. And then it says, Loi sashchin es paas zikanecha. You shouldn't get rid of, you shouldn't shave the corners of your beard. Midashani kra bidibure, because it tried to change it from plural to singular. If you want to be consistent, it should have says the corners of your beard. My zikanecha, your beard, singular, to tell you yours and not a woman's. Zikanecha yours and not that of a woman. Says the Gemara of the law, you're telling me that what a woman does not have an issur of shaving with a razor, but Tanya, there's a brayso, it's very cryptic. It says the following: Zikanisha, the beard of a woman, Vasadi, so someone who's sterile, will never show signs of a male. Shehelu sad, if they happen to have hair growth. Harei hen kezok and l'chol has all the laws of a normal beard by a male. Clearly, l'chayda, what does it mean? My lav lahashchasa, that you're not allowed to destroy it, you're not allowed to use a razor. But Abai says no. Can't be we're telling a woman that you cannot shave your beard. The yalit paas mibnei Aaron. We have Xer Shava. This pasuk it says paas, zikanecha. But by kohenim also it says there that they shouldn't. It says in the pasuk by kohenim that they shouldn't make themselves bald, pull the hair out, and then it says, and the corners of the beard they should not shave. Leigalechu. So we have the word paas by kohen, but the word paas by Yisrael, and we have Xer Shava. And what's Xer Shava? Malahala Nosh, by kohen we know women are exempt. How do we know? Because a couple of psukim before it talks about pulling your hair out. It says Emer la kohen. It talks all about the laws of tumah, and the preamble it says Emer el la kohen b'nei Aaron. So, and we're assuming now that the entire parsha is only just addressing b'nei Aaron, and women are exempt. So where kohenim, women are exempt from shaving the beard, and we have a show of pas to tell you that the same thing applies to a Yisrael, the Bas Yisrael. So Avkan Noshim to this. Says the Gemara, who told you? The Isvidula. Let me ask you a question. So your argument is, the Gemara is asking now on Abaya, your argument is the Chikasa B'nei Aaron Akul Yonixid, that when the preamble of B'nei Aaron is not just limited to the laws of Tumah, but also applies to everything else, including shaving the beard. That it only applies to males. Says the Gemara, Nishte Kramine, in that case, let the Torah not say at all anything. Let the Torah not say anything at all about this. What do we need Xer Shava for? Pass. Omit Xer Shava. Remove the word pass. And how would we know that a woman is exempt? The taste of a Kal V'Chaymer. We will learn from a Kal V'Chaymer. What do you mean? Now, this is what I'll say. When it comes to kohenim, sheriba behem hakosim mitzvahs, they have so many extra mitzvahs. We're so much more stringent with kohenim, and yet women are exempt from this law of shaving, which applies only to males. Bnei Aaron, Aaron. So Yisrael lo kolshke, surely Bas Yisrael wouldn't have the sin of shaving. What do I need to say? Pass. That's what they're asking Abaya. If you're right. So he says here, like kolshke, surely. So he says no. So Abaye says, "E love I need the gzeir pass to tell you, just like a woman's exempt by a kohen, because I say Bnei Aaron covers the whole gamut, all the laws there. So too, she's potter as Yisrael to completely shave. And once we know that she's potter from shaving, we also know that she's potter from the payas. So what do I need the gzeir pass for? I can just learn it from a kohen with the Kal. She says as follows. I would have thought I would have thought because it says Bnei Aaron, and it talks about tumah, and then it says there lo yitama, these 7 exceptions you come to me, and then it goes on to other things. I would have thought that ends the subject of Bnei Aaron. That's why we need Gzei Shabbat to tell you no, that it continues onwards. So he says, I would have thought that lo yitama ends the Bnei Aaron. Says so maybe taka. No hashnaman hifsikin. So even if you have Gzei paas, maybe the Bnei Aaron ends by tumah, and therefore we have no pasuk exempting a woman from the laws of removing a beard as a kohen. You're going to ask me a question. So what's the point of Gzei Shabbat then? What am I trying to glean from this Gzei Shabbat? Even Gzei Shabbat, I'll tell you what we learned from this. Like something we learned in Gemara Nazir, and that is what kind of instrument should you not use to shave? Look, if I learn, it says in Pasuk by a kohen, it says lo yigalechu, shouldn't shave it. Yochel gilchu b'misparayim echarot. Then you're using a scissor. No, we're talking about a razor where you completely destroy the roots as well. If I use a plane, a carpenter's plane, which basically also removes the roots, but it's not normal. Nobody uses it to shave. So each one reflects or reveals on the other. What it says by a Yisrael, by a Kohen, it says lo yigalechu, by Yisrael it says lo, and we learned between the two that it's only talking about a razor that pulls out the roots, which is the common way of shaving. And that's what the Gzei Shabbat is for. So how do you know a woman's exempt? That's a razor. So Abaye says back, if that's all what we need the Gzei Shabbat for, and women are actually chayim and shaving, then all it had to say is es shibis kanecha. It started off saying already in the pasuk, don't remove the pa'as reishchem. And then if the pasuk would have said, v'loy sashchit es bezekanecha, that which is in your beard, I would have known we're talking about pas. But already said corners. Why does it have to repeat the word pas again? You know why? My pa'asikanecha. Why do you use the word pas? Shmamanatarti. Teach you 2 dinim. Teach you what you said about what kind of razor you're not allowed to use, and also to teach you that a woman is exempt from shaving. Teach you both dinim. It's a proper Gzei Shabbat to teach you all respects. So the Gemara, how you explain the brisa? The brisa the beard of a woman and someone that they had here. That the beard, that it growth, and the beard has all the same laws as by a male. In what respect? You know what? Nothing to do with shaving, because we have a Shabbat pas. You know what the brisa meant? The tumas nagoyim. When it comes to leprosy, if a woman happens to have a hair growth, she has the same laws like by a male who has that leprosy, the different signs in the beard. So the Gemara, tumas nagoyim behedrik siv. It's clearly pasuk. The ish or isha ki yir by nega bereisha bezak. It's a clearly pasuk. A woman or a man or a woman that have the following signs in the hair, in the head, or in the beard. So what do I need? The brisa to tell me that a woman who has a hair growth has the same laws as a man? We're talking about the taras nagoyim. Let's say you have that tumah. How do you cleanse it? And so the Gemara taras nagoyim nami pshit. It's obvious. Kivan the bas tumah, since when it comes to the laws of tumah, it's identical bas taheri. So the same rules apply on how to become tired. So what is the brisa telling us that they have the same laws as a male when it comes to a hair growth on the face? Says the Gemara. No, I need it. I would have thought, let's go back to the beginning. We need to tell you that her beard has the same laws as a male. I would have thought, let's dadim ksiv. Don't read the pasuk as if it covers everybody. Read the pasuk that the pasuk is sort of divided. It starts off ish ayisha ki yeh b'nega b'reish. If a man or a woman have a have some kind of signs of leprosy in the hair. It applies to both. And then when the pasuk says oy bezakan on the beard, it goes back to the man. Hadras and leash. That's what we would have thought. Kamashlan comes to tell you no. It applies to the male and the female. Saying about it further, it comes along another opinion. Isay Tani Isa Ben Yehuda came along and said, Af also the Bal Yikrichu Noshim Turis, the lav of pulling the hair out. He holds that the lav of pulling your hair out when you heard terrible news, shocking news, is applies to women just as well. When it says La Yikrichu Karcha, it applies to women as well. Sorry, that's what we learn. And he says women are exempt. Right now, in our Mishnah, all it says is that women are exempt from removing the payas or shaving the beard, and by a bas kohen from going to the funeral. Isa adds another thing, pulling the hair out. Also, my time they say, what's his basis? The Dorish Hachi. This is how he dashes. The pasuk says as follows: you're Hashem's children, and then it says loy tis going to do that you shouldn't go ahead and scratch yourself. And then it says like the simu korcha beinenechem, and don't latest guy do is scratching yourself using an implement, and then light and light to simu korcha beinenechem, and don't pull your hair out between your eyes. Lameis on account of a family member who passed away. Why? Because you're holy people. So the pasuk starts off bonim atem Hashem lekechem, and it covers latest gaidadu. It covers latest simu karcha. So he says that and then it says why? Because you're a holy nation. So he says that the latest simu karcha, that second sin of pulling your hair out, that only is bonim atem, only for your children. Says the Gemara, in fact, it's very difficult to understand. The first mitzvah, the first Aver Leitus Gaidu, he said that applies to men and women. You're not allowed to go ahead and cut yourself with implements as a sign of mourning. But the second one, which is more distant from Batim, which it says don't pull your hair out, that is limited to Banim. That's very difficult to understand. Because what's written right after Banim is Leitus Gaidu. If anything, you say women are exempt from that. Says the Gemara, what's going on here? Maybe that Banim is limited only to Gedida that applies to males. So he says, because you're a holy nation, have a gedida. I would say that means holy, and therefore don't use an implement to cut yourself. So Gemara says, so what's since no difference men and women, so when the Torah says bonim, what's that referring to? The karcha, to pulling your hair out. So Gemara, I don't understand. It doesn't make sense. The word, the law which is written right before the word you're a holy nation is karcha, pulling your hair out. The law that's written right after bonim is cutting yourself with an implement. Yet you decided to swap it around. The latest going to do you attach to Ki'am Kaddish, don't cut yourself, and Korcha you attach to Banim. Doesn't make sense. So Mara Is, why do you deem it fit? The Rabbi says to include Din and put that together with the whole nation. And to exclude the Korcha. Says the Gemara, Marba Ani Esakdida. You know why I include the Gdida? Sheyeshna b'mokum as Gdida is stricter. Why? What's Gdida? Gdida is cutting yourself. Where? Any part of your body. Karcha, pulling your hair out is only on your head. So the prohibition of Gdida is far worse. And therefore we'll say that when the Torah says you're a holy nation, it refers to men and women, no difference, because it's far worse. So he says, in Marban is Gdida, Sheyeshna b'mokum asar, b'mokum asar, applies everywhere, where your hair grows, where it doesn't grow. U'moitzeni is Karcha, but I exclude pulling your hair out, it's only where your hair grows. Saying to the Gemara, okay, why don't we just say then, the aim will let us say, according to Isi, Bonim v'lebanis, it only applies to men, Bein lekarcha, Bein legdida. What about the last few words of the pasuk, you're a holy nation, which seems to say, and therefore there's no difference male or female, you have to be holy. V'chikasav ki am kodesh ato sham lekecha, those words that you're a holy nation is talking about b'svitu diksiv. And we interpret srita, the srita is using your hand, cutting yourself with your hand. That the gedida is cutting yourself with an implement, with a tool, and a scissor or something, and srita is using your hand, and that's far worse than using a tool. And maybe that's what Ka'am Kodesh is. Says the Gemara, Isa disagrees with you. He holds that srita, the gedida, achasi. He holds that the Torah, srita, and gita exactly the same. Doesn't matter whether you use your hand or whether you use an implement. And therefore, he says he can't. That's why we know that one of them is women are exempt, one of them are chayiv. It makes more sense to say that we take the stricter one and say women are chayiv with that, and that is cutting yourself because that's all over your body. Abaya comes along and he says, Haina time this, I'll give you the logic behind what Isa said. This is sort of right in the middle of the Gemara, so you have to finish it. And it's very similar to the Gemara we just did. The Abaya said the top of Amavav Aleph, Haina time Isa. This is the logic of Isa. The Gomad, he learns out Karcha Mibnei Aaron. He learns out, going back to what we originally said about this Gzeir Shava Paas. We go back to the children of Aaron. They also were told not to pull the hair out. And therefore, and there it says, Emor Kohanim B'nei Aaron. It only applies to males, not females. They're women exempt. So here also, because the Gzeir Shava Paas, women are exempt. Or Karcha. Says the Gemara. So we're going to use the word Karcha here, the word Karcha there. Their women are exempt here also. Says the Gemara, the exact same question we had before. Before we discussed the Gzeir Shava Paas, now we're going to discuss the Gzeir Shava Karcha with the same question. Maybe Bnei Aaron is not talking about Karcha. Maybe it's limited only to the funeral. Says the Gemara, if you are by a hold, the Chiksi Kra Bekuli Yonif said that Bnei Aaron refers to everything is written in the beginning of Pashat Emor, then Nishti Kramene, who needs a Kavachema Karcha? And just tell me, if a Bas Koyin, who has so many mitzvahs, is exempt from pulling the hair out, then surely a Bas Yisrael is exempt. But Tesi Kavachema, I would say, Ma Koyinim, because you say they have so many mitzvahs. Yet Bnei Aaron is Aaron, it applies only to the males, not the females. Yisrael or Kolshke, shouldn't the same thing apply to a Yid as well? So says the Gemara, no. Abai answers, you know why we need Karcha? Because if Lav Gzeir Shava had not been Gzeir Shava, I would have thought, I would have thought that Bnei Aaron ends with the laws of Tumah. Says the Gemara, no, and now that you have Karcha, the same thing. Maybe it ends with the laws of Tumah. How do you know to carry it over to Karcha that exempt? It ends here. You're going to ask me, so what's the point of the Gzeir Shava? The Mishum Gzeir Shava. You're going to ask me, what's the point of Gzeir Shava? I'll tell you what the point of Gzeir Shava is. The Boile, we need it. Look at it, Tanya, like we learned. Loi, Yikilchu. We need the following. It says in the pasuk, "Lo yikhu, do not pull your hair out." Yoch, I would have thought, I feel the korach arba v'chomish kichli chayvalachas. Don't pull your hair out. It's one aveda, no matter how many times you did it. Tamalaymer. Therefore, it says karcha. It says karcha to tell you that what? That every time you do that, the chayva kol achas v'achas bereishim. For each one. It says in the pasuk that you should not pull your hair out by kohen. Do not pull your hair out. Karcha bereishim on the head. So it says, why does it tell you karcha? To tell you each time is a separate sin. And therefore, we're going to use the Gzeir Shava Karcha to teach you the same thing applies to Bas Yisrael. And it says, bereishim on the head. Ma tamad loimer. What do you have to tell me that? It says in the pasuk, loitus gaidu, which means don't cut yourself. But loitasimu karcha ben yanechem. And it says by Yisrael, don't make a karcha, pull your hair out ben yanechem in your eyes, like your eyebrows. Lemeis, on account of somebody who passed away. I would have thought it's only limited if you write on your face, everybody can see. How you know that's forbidden the entire head? The chayiv on the head, and that's written by a kohen. So by a kohen we have two more dinim that we don't know by Yisrael, and that is that those only apply between your eyes. It also applies on the hair on your head, and no matter every time you pull the hair out, it's a separate sin. So all I know is kohenim should about because the mitzvah say is all I know is a kohen because they have so many mitzvahs it's forbidden. Yisrael menong, I know the same thing applies to Yisrael. So that's where the Gzeir Shava comes in. We need the Gzeir Shava to teach you these dinim. So they're asking Abaya, how do you know to tell me that bonim spills over to all the dinim there, and that's why we have a Gzeir Shava Karcha to tell you that women are exempt? No, maybe the Bnei Aaron ends with the laws of Tumah, and therefore a woman a Bas Kohen is chayiv on the Karchas. So what's the point of Gzeir Shava Karcha between a Kohen and Yisrael to teach you these other two dinim, the hair, the head, every time you do it, it's on the head, and every time you do it. Why Umahala halan, and just like over there, and we compare back and forth. Al mace. When is it forbidden for a kohen to do that? When is it forbidden by Yisrael to do that? Only if we do it for the sake of somebody passed away. Afkan al mace. When is it forbidden for a kohen? Only on a mace. So question on Abaya. Answers Abaya again. If the Gzeidah Shav is only coming to teach you those limited dinim of how Korcha is meant to play out, Nichtiv Krok Kerach Kerach, just say Kerach Kerach. My Korcha, the extra hay. Shamad B'nei Tarti, but two dinim. First, everything you said, plus what I said, that we take the B'nei Aaron and we carry it over throughout all the laws in the beginning of Emer that's relegated to Kohanim, and we say that this applies to B'nei Aaron and not to B'nei Aaron. And B'nai Aaron are exempt from Korcha. That's what Abai says. Rabbi doesn't agree that this hay is considered drasha, that it's extra. So Rabbi Mahain time this, you know what the Yalif Bein Nechem mit Film. He learns out that over here it says by Korcha between your eyes and tefillin, and we know that tefillin women are exempt. So that's how we know they're exempt from Korcha. So Rabbi, my time why doesn't Rabbi give us a buy about Korcha? Kerach Korcha le mashmale. He doesn't agree that this extra hay does anything. Labai, my time so why doesn't Abai actually learn like Rabbi from Tefillin? That let's learn this din from Tefillin, and just like by Tefillin, women are exempt. Of here also it says Bein Nechem, women are exempt. It says here it's like Gzei Shabbat, Ein Nechem, Ein Nechem. Amalach Tefillin Gufayim Ahar Gamalach. He said, no, that Gzeidah Shav of a Nechem that you learned tefillin from Let's Go, you actually need it for the laws of tefillin, not to teach you extra things about what do you mean the laws of tefillin? How do you know where to put the tefillin on a person's head? So, because it says in the pasuk, between your eyes. Maybe that's where you put on tefillin between your eyes. Just like over there, when we talk about pulling your hair out, we're talking about on top of your head. So the goyva sharash, the height of your head. Afkan mokum hanocha begoiva rosh. Here too, it's talking about the height of your head. So then the Gemara wants to know, and I guess we'll stop over here. What do they do with the pasuk bonim atem? Why does it say bonim? Since the Abai and Rabbi have different shorty, why does it say bonim? What do they do with bonim atem? So you'll see tomorrow already in the Gemara when you learn it. So everyone have